Turning on organic social media. Organic social media is now on. It is the third week, and we're going to look at Planet of the Apes articles. We're going to look at two articles. Going to keep it very simple tonight. Nothing fabulous. I think we've gone through about every interview and stuff. So all that left are articles, and when I go through most of the articles, I'll come up with some more creativity for Amiah Sunday. Don't worry about that. I'll always come up with something, and Amiah will always make news somehow, even if she's not in Hollywood anymore, and she's just kind of as close to a normal 20-year-old girl she wants to be. Anyway, let's look at plays. Amiah Miller plays pivotal role in War for the Planet of the Apes. I think we've had two trailers now for Kingdom, and Freya Allen looks great. She does have speaking parts in that. So let's take a look at this article. This article comes from July 3rd, 2017, from Manila Standard. This is by Manila Standard Show Bits. So let's go ahead and we're just going to read it. One of the most surprising characters in the highly anticipated War for the Planet of the Apes is not an ape or a man, but a little girl with breathtaking courage. Amiah Miller, in her first major role, plays a mute, virus-ravaged human child who comes to be known as Nova and becomes an essential part of the apes' journey to their new home. War is set 15 years after a scientific experiment had gone wrong. 15 years, okay. That gave rise to intelligent apes and almost wiped out the human race. The colonists and apes struggled to coexist, but their fragile peace was shattered when Caesar, played by Andy Serkis, leader of the apes, attempted to restore order. But there was no turning back from the brutal fighting that has already begun. At heart, this is the story of both a military and emotional last stand. As peace between species has collapsed and a renegade band of human soldiers led by imperious Colonel Woody Harrelson makes a final all-out attack, Caesar is hit with an unimaginable personal loss, and a dark line inside his psyche is crossed. Now he's wrestling with merciless impulses and rolling doubts about his own ability to inspire the apes towards freedom. But if the apes are to survive the coming conflict, Caesar must lead. In a time when empathy and compassion have nearly vanquished both in the world and his heart, Caesar searches for the grit, sense of fellowship, and striving vision to lead the apes towards a future of hope. So there's a picture, but we can't see the picture. It doesn't matter. The enchanted quality of the new character Nova did not escape director Matt Reeves and scribe Mark Bomback, who says, "Here is a little, seemingly orphaned girl living with apes. Matt and I immediately thought she seemed like a character out of a fairy tale. From Goldilocks to Little Red Riding Hood, there's a whole tradition of stories about little girls in the woods with dangerous animals who nevertheless become their protectors." So that's part of the inspiration for Nova. And the name Nova, of course, is a bit of an Easter egg from the original film. One of the beautiful things about Nova is that even in this divided world, you see there are apes and humans who are able to form deep emotional relationships, says Peter Chernin. In that moment when Caesar is in the darkest place, when he wants to hate all humans, Nova touches him in a way no one else can. In Nova, we're also seeing the growth of the simian virus and what survival means to humans. So let's go down. Taking the part, especially demanding and complex one for a child actor, is 12-year-old Amiah Miller in her first major feature. Reeves describes how Miller won the role. Amiah is such an intuitive young actor. When she came into audition, we threw away the script, and I just asked her to relate to the apes. I love that. That's kind of like Paul Greengrass would throw away the scripts when Matt Damon came on the set. It was clear right then that she was special, and she had a talent way beyond her years. She and the actors became like a family. She has a bright future ahead of her. I can't wait to see what she does. Because Nova develops a strong bond with the orangutan Maurice, who insists on bringing her on the ape's long journey, Miller spent a month working with Karen Carnival, who plays Maurice. Amiah and I needed to have a very strong, very real connection, says Carnival. So Amiah and I actually got to know each other wordlessly as Maurice and Nova before we even had any conversations. Truth to be told, I actually took some ASL. ASL classes. So learning how to sign, all that stuff. I kind of forgot some of the words, but vocabulary, using the words, understanding. That's very important. I remember Gallaudet University and how the deaf would chain themselves to a bus to protest for a deaf president. Yeah, It's politics. Politics can get that way. Anyway, so it was absolutely magic that the filmmakers gave us the opportunity to develop this true bond. Says producer Dylan Clark, Matt, our casting director, Deb Zane, and I were all in agreement that there was only one young actor to bring in for the role of Nova, and it was Amiah. War for the Planet of the Apes opens in cinemas July 12th. Okay, let's look at no comments. Oh well, that happens. But let's go to the other article. Okay, so War for the Planet of the Apes. Breakout Amiah Miller talks crying on command as Nova. So the young actress chats about her nerve-wracking audition, dream directors potentially continuing the franchise and shooting the Anastasia remake. I've seen that. Great movie. Good little movie. I still think it was weird that the toddler sang like a 12-year-old in the Russian sort of the first opening scene. But anyway, though War of the Planet of the Apes is the final installment of Fox's rebooted trilogy, it might mark the beginning of a Maya Miller. In Matt Reeves' critical acclaimed threequel, which grossed $56.5 million domestically in its opening weekend, the blue-eyed blonde actress impressed as Nova, a mute orphan who helps the apes rescue Caesar and goes on to live with the species in their new home, The Hollywood Reporter's Review. And Miller's Nova is a sweet blonde human girl who looks like she just stepped out of a fairy tale. Yes. She kind of, sometimes she reminds me of Laura Vandervoort, who played Supergirl in the Smallville show. A little bit. And also she kind of reminds me of Shakira because her hips don't lie. Though Miller didn't have a single word of dialogue in Apes, she's bubbly and humorous when speaking with Heat Vision at New York City's Edition Hotel. New York City is my favorite city in the entire world, and it's my second time there. I still can't believe my face is everywhere, says the actress who turned 13 this past Sunday. After dinner the other day, I hailed a cab for the first time, and it happened to be a war advertisement. So we took pictures, and the guy gave us a free ride. I wonder. I'm curious, Amiah, was it on this day that you hailed the cab for the first time? Maybe. That's kind of interesting, if it was. This is from the Good Day New York. That interview is no longer on YouTube, but sadly. But anyway, continuing on. It turns out Miller is also a history buff who loves crying on command, and she's about to shoot the Anastasia remake. Heat Vision highlights the 5 things to know about Miller. She began her career as a model. She grew up in a small town in Virginia and later moved to Florida and Los Angeles, where she lives now. At first, she didn't seem like a likely candidate for the limelight. I was very shy, I couldn't talk to anybody but my family for a really long time. But I always loved fashion, and I would light up in front of the camera, she recalls. Miller then began modeling, nabbing her first magazine spread at 8 years old, in Vogue no less, at her first commercial the following year. At 10 years old, she broke into acting. Her current focus. My favorite thing about it is just being able to express yourself, but in someone else's personality and in a different character. And then the director says, cut, you're back to yourself. Here's everybody. Here's everyone. Okay. She didn't even know which movie she was auditioning. Yeah, they never tell you. So they say, okay, you're gonna play Goldilocks, and there's gonna be the Three Bears. Pretend this is supposed to be a comedy. So, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, the comedy, okay? That's what they tell you. Or you're going to play a special needs character, superhero character or whatever, but it's really like you're playing Robin to Batman or whatever. They don't tell you it's a Robin Batman movie or whatever. So at the time, Miller knew that it was a Fox film. My first audition, I was very nervous because you had to sign a confidentiality agreement, so I knew it was for something big. She recalls, I had to do the scene where they find me, I had to be scared about speaking and show certain facial expressions. I remember I had to do zombie noises for I was supposed to be a zombie actor for the Queen Mary. I got lost driving to the Queen Mary, trying to get there with all these similar streets, so I ended up driving back home. Didn't work out for me. I did play a monster of some sort for a small play in Hollywood, but that was years ago, 2009, I think. Anyway. I had to do the same. They find me. Okay, Miller then met with director Reeves, who surprised her with the task of interacting with an ape played by a casting director. It was incredibly cinematic to just watch her react, and the moment that happened, and I leaned forward, I knew we had to cast her and that the audience would react like that. Reeves told Heat Vision at last week's premiere, "We were looking for someone who could be very emotional and relate to the other apes and actors in a very instinctual way. A lot of things you don't usually ask of young actors, but she's such an intuitive and bright light and wise beyond her years. She loves crying on command." Oh god. They say I'll say, okay, I got a comment. I'll say this after. Miller was only 11 years old during the Apes shoot in Canada. The most scary part for me was going into the mocap because they were already done two movies together, and here I come and I don't know anything. I'm only starting out as an actress. She says, "I was super nervous, but they were all just so welcoming and they were all really transformed to apes. It was crazy." She says, the season cast sang her praises at last week's premiere. "She's absolutely fantastic and extraordinary and had this honesty and innocence you can't fake," Andy Serkis told Heat Vision. Added Steve Zahn, "That's a hard job to do, and for her age, we were just blown away. We bonded on set. We were always TPing each other's trailers." I don't know. Hopefully it's not used TP. It's almost like it's brand new. If it was used, that'd be awful. I have so many horror stories about the bathrooms that I had to use at the swap meet. That was the drive-in movie theater, but it was a swap meet on Sundays. It smelled like shit. Anyway, on the role, Miller says, "It's always been one of my dreams to play someone who represents goodness. And Nova is the goodness in humanity because she brings out the best in Caesar and other apes. I hope she brings out the best in other people too. Plus, crying is so fun for me, and jokes that she had the perfect on-set inspiration. You know my crying scene. I was crying because in between takes I had to go do school. So yeah, here she is there. Lovely face. Look. Anyway, um, so like you think if you cry on command, you try to see like if somebody brags about. Here's what you do, Amaya. If somebody do this to a guy, okay, and if the guy says, "Oh, I know how to speak this language," you cry on command, and then he has to tell you not to cry in the like no llorar in Spanish. This is what my teacher did in high school. Like she would cry on command, and then you had to okay. Well, how do you say "don't cry" in Spanish? Because she was our Spanish teacher. Anyway, she did this to somebody. She didn't do this to me. She did this to somebody else. Um, she loves history, fashion, and MMA. Miller, the middle child in between two brothers, tells the Hollywood Reporter that the Apes press tour combines two of her top interests: travel, going overseas for the first time, and falling in love with London, and fashion, wearing her favorite designers like Dolce and Gabbana, Burberry. Her favorite subjects in school are history and writing, and she loves the movie Titanic and the CW series Riverdale. I kind of got into Riverdale a bit. I think it's interesting. Um, I feel for, I'm sure as you do. I feel for Betty. I'm more into Betty than Veronica. Lily Reinhart. I did like the conflicts between characters. Basically, Riverdale's like the first 4 years of Smallville, right? It's like the first 4 years of Smallville. And then if you look at the CW Arrowverse, it's like the last few years of Smallville where everybody's in superhero costumes. Anyway, let me continuing on here. Um, Along her offset interest is mixed martial arts. My dad also owns an MMA gym, so when I'm not working, I do that. But I gotta protect the moneymaker. Yeah, you can't do that for a living. Even stunt work, unless you don't care anymore. Although she isn't a huge social media fanatic, she has a particular goal. "I just want to get to 1 million followers on Instagram, and once I do that, I've accomplished life." um, she wants her movies to inspire others. Miller is seen next in the Trafficked, which I reviewed that one, with Ashley Judd and Elizabeth Rom, and will soon head to Wyoming to shoot a modernized live-action adaptation of Anastasia, which I reviewed. "I played Megan. They offered me Anastasia too, but Megan's the bigger role," she tells The Hollywood. "I really like it because its paragraphs and paragraphs and lines are my favorite. Then I have a few offers for the end of the year, and I'm up for a few things at the beginning of next year. I'll just have to wait and see." When asked of her dream on-screen collaborator, she responds, "I'm really not obsessed with any actors or anything, but it's more directors I want to work with." And lists J.J. Abrams and Steven Spielberg as her top picks. No, J.J. Abrams fell off the wayside. I don't know who would be good. Who would be good director? Just like independent directors. Maybe you could just do student films or fan films. I don't know. She prefers film to TV because I get to meet so many new people and travel. When it's done, you can go to something else and learn something new. And loves drama over all of the genres. But I really want to do a movie where you want to do good after you watch it. Like, I want to be a positive role model to the next generation because I think the world needs that right now. I still think she likes that kind of thing. Um, and yeah, she's open to playing Nova in future Apes films, especially since her character's name is a nod to the classic franchise. As her blue eyes widen, she says with hope, they left it off where it could keep going. I wrote her as a character where she changes into different things, but she is the reincarnation of a character that died in all my stories, all my fiction that I ever wrote with my own characters, with my own copyrighted characters. She ends up all she ever keeps doing is dying in the damn story. Okay, and this character that I created was before she was born, so that's a whole other thing. But let's move on. Tall Things. Big Blue, world's largest crayon, made for Crayola's Centennial in Easton. Lake Valley historical headlines. Can I read this, or are you going to be an asshole? Okay, thank you. I would like to read this. When the Crayola brand marked its 100th anniversary 20 years ago this week, there was a big, colorful parade. Okay, so they had the world's largest crayon. There it is. There's the world's largest crayon. So it's a 1,500-pound crayon made from 123,000 blue crayon remnants gathered from children around the world. Oh, look at that. So that's neat. So let's see if there's other pictures of it. They say here, let me see if I can find, there's more information. Go back. So this crayon here, there's the crayon here. So there's the big crayon. Okay. So as impressive as it is, the Big Blue is not Crayola's biggest crayon, as that goes to Bluetiful at Crayola Experience Orlando. And Guinness lists that as a 17-foot, 1,502-pound crayon. That's a ton crayon, okay? A ton crayon from Jamaica, New York, verified in October 2017 as the current world record holder. So there you go. That's a giant fucking crayon. That is a big damn crayon. Animal Corner. Yep, it's a dog dancing to Michael Jackson. Yep, she's dancing. Yeah, look at her. There she goes. Look how talented she is. See you next week.